Welcome to Sonic Dorms. On today's show, I have a very special guest. His name is Harrison Marcello of the band TEMPT. He is the guitarist of that band. I consider them probably one of the flagship bands right now for hard rock music, as far as doing something that I personally can connect with, because I grew up a huge fan of bands like Van Halen and Def Leppard, and I hear a lot of that in your sound, especially with those guitar harmonies, the big stack Mutt Lang flavored production, gang, vocals and whatnot. Huge fan of all that. So welcome to the show, Harrison. How you doing?
Awesome. I'm great. It's good to be here. And yeah, definitely a lot of Mutt Lang inspiration in my youth. I love him.
Music to my ears, man, because I grew up a huge fan of his records. I joke around that Mutt makes me a fan of bands that maybe I wouldn't have normally gotten into, but I love the records he produced for those people.
Yeah, I mean everything from the AC/DC to the Shania Twain to
Yeah,
the recent Muse album he did.
yeah, drones.
I can listen to anything he produces. It doesn't matter what genre, artist, or, or anything.
Yeah, I think what is a testament to that, and I think is something that I think is similar with what you guys do, is the songwriting. And I think that's his key. I mean, he's such a jack of all trades. He's a singer, he's a musician, he's a songwriter. He's also got the ears for the sonics. So he's an all-around talented human being. But you guys have that. So where did that come from? Was it specifically if you wouldn't mind taking me from the ground up, how Temp began and where this is all rooted in?
Yeah, so I mean, Zach and I got together, back in around 2012. So it was a while ago, and he actually found me on YouTube. Believe it or not, he was working with a songwriter, and basically the guy said to him, "Listen, you need a songwriting partner. You need your kind of, uh, Bon Jovi to Richie Sambora, or your Neil Sean to Steve Perry, that kind of thing." He's like, "You need that anchor and axeman to help you." So he basically just went on YouTube and found me. That was kind of 2012 was kind of the heyday of, I was just starting college, and that was kind of the heyday of like the early YouTube guitar cover scene, where we kind of had this like tight knit community. So he found me, and we got together, and basically right off the bat hit it off. We had pretty similar influences, I think, just from the fact that if you're a musician, if you're a singer, if you're a drummer, a guitar player, I think everyone starts by looking back to kind of where it all happened, which is 60s, 70s, 80s. I mean, those are the guys that wrote the book on how to be a rock star and how to play and how to perform. And, every pop act today, whether they're even rock or not, is still, taking from those playbooks that were written way back then. So me as a guitar player, obviously love all that stuff. I mean, the album that got me into playing was the Randy Rhoads Ozzy Osbourne tribute record. So naturally, I was always inclined to that type of music. And we got together and hit it off and wrote a bunch of songs. And I was still in school and he was going to school. So we didn't really take the band that seriously. We couldn't put all of our time into it. And it wasn't until I graduated that we really decided, okay, like, I think we have something here. And that's when we hooked up with Nick, who's our drummer, and Chris, our bass player now. And when the band kind of really formed, and we said, okay, we think we have something good here. We have great people. Let's pursue this, as a full-time thing.
Nice. So when it comes to this band, I think you guys are really setting an example for what I like, again, is like, doesn't sound like copycat kind of thing. I think you guys are following in those footsteps while doing your own thing. That's something I can hear even on your latest single. I mean, you got Dorothy featuring with you now, which I think is fantastic. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that was an idea our label had, about, we kind of knew that the first single was going to be Living Dangerous, and our label suggested the idea of a feature. And it's funny because we were really unsure about it at first, because as an artist, the song is like your baby, and then someone goes, "You guys want to have a featured artist on your track?" And immediately like, "No, it's perfect the way it is." Right. But we were open-minded to it, and we thought about it, and we found Dorothy, who is amazing in her own right, and she's a great singer. And she went in the studio and recorded the lead over the parts we wanted, and did all those great harmony bits and high harmonies. And we got it back and we said, wow, this is actually amazing. We totally changed our mind about, having featured artists, and we love what she did. So that's basically how that came around. And she's obviously in the music video with us, which was great. It was super fun to shoot that. We did a video, in New York City in this cool place up at Hunts Point. It was right across from Rikers Island, which was pretty crazy. You could see the jail off in the distance. So that's basically how the feature came about. It came about pretty quick, and it was really great to work with her. And I think it came out great.
What's your I mean, I love, that's honestly what hooked me to you guys. So I'm a new fan, but I immediately got it. I said, where has this been all my life, kind of thing, which is, it's rare that happens for me. That's something, it just perks my ears up like that. So when I heard that, it was immediately one of those "Don't bore us, get to the chorus" kind of songs. And then I kind of just backtracked from there. I was like, man, they're all just really hooky, fantastic melodies, these songs.
Yeah, and I think your comment too you made about, we're really, it as much as our influences come from, bands of the 70s and 80s and that type of thing, we love all music. We listen to, everything from rap to Slipknot to Katy Perry, so we want to really take that aesthetic of fun rock that seems to be lacking, that's not really around anymore, and bring all that into, with modern production, modern songwriting techniques, instead of kind of what you were saying before, just doing, a copycat type thing of just kind of redoing 80s songs or 70s songs. And with this, that Living Dangerous is the first single off the record, but I'm very excited for the record to be released, because there's a lot of really cool stuff on that I'm excited for everyone to hear finally. And it should be out, I think, first quarter of next year, so in a few months. So stay tuned.
I have to, you mentioned this, that comment sounds to me like this record's maybe been done for a while now. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, it's been finished for a bit. It actually was finished during, right in the beginning of when COVID started. So around, like April or May of 2020, I think we got the master of it in June. So, the whole COVID thing with everyone's career basically threw a wrench in the whole equation. And, as a band that's really just starting its career now with this first record, we had to make the decision that, we need a tour with this record. We can't just release this record and have it, kind of disappear if we're not out playing and touring with people. So I made the decision to hold off on it. And now that we can kind of see the, horizon a little bit with this whole thing ending, that's why we decided to release the first single. And we have 2 other singles that will be released before the record. And, we've had a hard time with touring, just because we've had some tours that got canceled because of COVID and, having to rebook things, but we're going to have a bunch of touring coming up that will coincide with the release of the record. So it's been a while that we've been sitting on it, but it's a strategic play.
I mean, I mentioned, it's like the Wild West out there. I mean, I'm always curious how bands approach, especially newer artists such as yourselves, how you approach the promotional plan, the marketing plan for your record releases. I think people are still trying to figure that out in this newer landscape of streaming and whatnot. I think it's a little, people are just kind of like figuring out, like some people release 5 singles like before the record even comes out, and before you know it, you've heard about half the record, if not all of it, by the time the album's out. And then there's people that, I'm old school, I like a couple singles and then I get the record, but what I mean, like a month later or something. But it's different nowadays, and I get that.
But also people like, when the new Kanye record came out, like there were no singles for that. It's just drop 25 songs and then make the music videos and stuff depending on which songs get the most plays.
That's interesting, right?
So people, yeah, I mean, there's no, with the whole modern music and streaming and the whole paradigm that the internet has brought. I mean, it's been 15 years or 20 years almost now of people still trying to figure out what to do. And now with streaming kind of being somewhat new still, it just seems like there's more and more things that are changing the game every, year. Basically something else comes out. So, there's no right way to do it seems anymore. Like when you go back and hear stories of how, record companies and bands operated in the 70s and the 60s. That's kind of all gone out the window. But the one thing I will say is that, in the reason, going back to the question about the album being delayed, is that the one thing that's still the best way to get ears on your music is playing live and playing in front of people. There's a lot of ways people have been successful, virally and then on the internet and getting something to really pop. But the one way people still find the most success is, play festivals, get on a tour. So that goes back to why we kind of delayed the record some until we've been able to get on some live shows going.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen you guys, but just based on the video, like the videos you've released, you seem like a very lively, one of those bands that are really going to connect, and that's going to translate really well with an audience. I think when people, I think you're going to be a very lively act. Is that something that you feel you guys bring to the table?
Yeah, I mean, we love playing live. I feel we're actually playing a show next week, October 13th at Mercury Lounge in New York City, if anyone in New York City is listening. But yeah, I think, I feel lucky every time we're playing live or in the rehearsal studio, because we really do have a great group of guys and everyone's a great musician. And it's one of those things where I sometimes think to myself, like, how did I hook up with these people? Because things just really have come together so much with these guys. And that really is our favorite thing. I mean, we love writing, we love producing, we love messing around in the studio, but nothing really beats playing live and connecting with your fans and audience, getting to hang out with people. It's just the best thing you can do.
What do you, when it comes to production, going back to earlier in our conversation, are you guys self-produced or do you have an outside ear?
So we actually hooked up with Chris Lord-Alge, who, he has done everything from Green Day, he won a Grammy for American Idiot to, 5 Seconds of Summer. He's pretty much,
he's a legend. He's his brother,
yeah.
Tom,
yeah.
also.
Tom Lord-Alge, yeah. So they, they're both legends, and pretty much, especially in the last few decades, he's almost, the go-to guy for any rock band is get our stuff mixed by Chris Lord-Alge. So we hooked up with him actually because one of our managers knew him, sent him a few tracks to mix. He loved the stuff. And that's how we got together with him. And so I produced the record with him. And it was basically, in the modern age, just in the internet and stuff, just going back and forth, sending files to each other, talking on the phone. And he was invaluable help to us. I mean, he was amazing in terms of listening, suggesting parts, suggesting ideas. And, I think it shows on the record now that it really just, I don't think there could have been anything else done. It's one of those projects where when we listen back to it, you don't think, oh, we could have added this here, added that there. We really had time to flesh it out and make it a complete, album.
That explains to me why the sonics are so clean. I mean, a lot of his remixes and productions are have that really clean sound.
Yeah, you can hear everything,
every nuance, right? And that's something that explains a lot. I go, how the hell are they getting this sound? It sounds so amazing. So I think that's really cool that you're working with him.
Yeah, he's been great, and he's just a really fun guy to work with. He's a really funny guy. Jersey Italian dude,
Yeah, of course.
he's the best. I love him.
So with everything going on now, are you prolific as far as like do you still write? Are you writing songs every day? Are you that kind of band? Like, despite the fact that you have a record that's in the can and ready to come out early next year?
Yeah, we so as I said before, our record got mastered like 2 months after kind of COVID lockdown started. I think it was June of 2020. So there was a good period of about 4 months where we had just kind of finished the record completely and added the finishing touches, got it mixed, reviewed all the mixes, going back and forth, finally got it mastered. It was like that whole summer into the fall, I didn't write a single thing. I was like, I'm done writing I'm taking a break. That was like a monumental task that we got done. And so we were all kind of separated at that point because, that early COVID period was so hectic and no one knew what was going on. So we all kind of left New York. And then, but recently we've been writing a lot, and we have a bunch of songs finished that are, I think, some of our best songs we've written. And it's almost like a second album is already done. So it'll be good though, because we'll be able to put this record out, tour the whole summer into the fall, and then basically have another record ready to go to be mixed and turn it around right away.
Awesome, man. And same team. It'll be the same team. Chris will be back working with you guys.
Yep, he'll be back working with us. I'm already he's what's so great about him is he's for any aspiring artist or band listening, he's one of those guys that's, he understands the vision you have, he understands what you want to accomplish, and he's a part of that vision, and he wants to make that vision come true. And he's really like someone in your corner that's going to fight for you. And that's what's so great with our relationship about him, is that he totally gets us. He totally gets what we want to do. And he's super invested in what we're doing, to the point that, this summer, when he was in the city for a few days, he'll come by our studio, listen to some demos we have, make some suggestions. So he's really in it, in the creative process now, like all the way. And he's open for me to send him tracks. And he's a busy dude. I mean, it's like every time I call him, he's mixing, so someone huge's record, but he'll still make time for us, consult with us. So he's definitely going to be a part of this record. And now that I've heard the finished product of this record that's about to come out, it's always great, like when I'm doing demos, to imagine like, oh, this is gonna sound sick when Chris gets his hands on it.
Right on. So before I let you go, I'm really curious. I like to ask all new artists that come on the show, or newer artists, what they're listening to nowadays. Is there anyone in particular that you're inspired by, of like the current generation?
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of synthwave stuff recently, like the Midnight, and even like the new Weekend stuff is like really cool, like the analog synths. I actually was on a big MGMT kick recently, like going back through their catalog and that kind of alternative sound. Just because there's just a lot of cool stuff I always learn from, different styles of production. And then you realize like some things that those people do sound 10 times better in a rock track, you know what I mean? Like, especially a lot of, synth percussion, or just like different kind of, rototoms and percussion elements and just things like that. So a lot of that kind of thing. But listen to we actually did a cool cover of the new Kanye song Jail, which everyone should check out.
I heard it. I loved it. It's fantastic. I didn't even recognize it from the original. It was like a whole new take, and I love covers that take the song in a whole nother direction, in which you guys did.
Yeah, what was great about that track is that the original is so sparse in its production. It's really just that guitar and that lead line and his voice, and there isn't even really drums or anything in it. So it was kind of the perfect song to cover, in the sense that, like, oh, as a rock band, we can add drums to this, add different parts, and just have it be a blank slate to kind of write over in a way. So that was really fun. So I've just been listening to everything. I'll just go on, find playlists and shuffle things and new stuff. And
so for those that are initiated into the world of Tempt, as it is, where can they find you guys online if they'd like to check you guys out?
Yeah, so everything is Tempt Band, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It's all under that same name. And if you guys, we're doing a big push on Spotify right now. So if you guys like what you hear, go follow us on Spotify, because that's the first place that all of our tracks and singles are going to come up when we release them. And we're going to be periodically releasing them over the next few months until that full record comes out. And also Facebook as well. Facebook or Instagram are a good place to find out about shows and things like that, because we're always posting and interacting with people on there.
And where can people, because I'm a big believer in purchasing the work of the artists I love, so where can people actually like buy your music? Do you have a Bandcamp or anything like that?
Well, we don't have that right now. I would say for post for buying physical stuff,
Mhm.
we won't be doing physical singles, but when the record comes out, we're going to be doing, CDs, vinyl, the whole charade. So just any social media, just give us a follow. And when the record comes out, and we have a store on our Facebook right now, but there's nothing physical on it right now. But I would just follow us on social media, and when the record hits, we'll be posting all the information about if you want a physical CD or physical vinyl. We'll have all of that.
Right. Does the album have a title yet? By any
It does.
chance?
It does, but I'm not going to say
Okay, okay. Because so Harrison, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on Sonic Dorms and give me the time. I mean, we're just about to hit 1 year that I've had this show active. It is a passion project of mine, and I want to make this a platform for all artists such as yourselves that I really believe have that thing, that extra, that X factor, if you will. And you guys got that thing. So I really appreciate you coming on, giving Sonic Dorms a chance, giving me a chance, and all the best to you when the album comes out, which is TBA on the title. I'd love to have you guys back on if you're interested. It'd be awesome to
Yeah.
have you, and we could talk about the whole record. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, of course. This was great, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. All the best. Harrison Marcello here from TEMPT. Thank you very much for joining us on Sonic Dorms. Until next time. See you later, Harrison.
Cool. See you, man.